When I teach the Hagia Sophia, I tend to teach a lot of Christian theology along with it, because it's important to understand that the building is more than just a church. It was also intimately connected with an imperial government with its own ideology. And that, in turn, was deeply rooted in Roman law, in Greek philosophy, as well as in Christian theology. And all of these things bear upon the form that that building took originally and the way it evolved over time. When the Ottomans took over the city in 1453, they immediately reconsecrated the building as a mosque. Interestingly, they retained the same name, Hagia Sophia, phonetically. It doesn't mean anything in Turkish, it's just a geographical place. Raises the question why, and it's not true of any of the other converted churches. None of them carried their names over from the Christian into the Islamic period. I think simply because the building is so enormous that it has its own identity and its own name. Istanbul was and still is to some extent a very multicultural city, and so lots of different populations, Greek and Jewish and Armenian as well as Turkish people, would have had a name for the building, but it did carry on. When one goes to the building today, it's sometimes hard to conjure up the Byzantine Greek Christian context for what one sees. And this in itself is an interesting problem in studying Byzantine architecture in Istanbul. Istanbul today is predominantly a Turkish Muslim city. The historic monuments from before the 15th century are predominantly Christian and Greek. There is some political tension involved in those monuments, and sometimes this can affect issues of restoration, issues of naming, or even just the sheer understanding of what the older Byzantine monuments meant originally. The building is politically very, very sensitive, which is why primarily the reason why it's a museum today. When Kemal Ataturk had the building secularized in the 1930s, he was in effect removing it as a very potent symbol of Islam in his new secular republic. One does still occasionally today find old men climbing over the barriers to do their prayers in front of the mihrab. There is a small section of the building that has been set aside for Islamic prayer, though the guides don't like to point it out because officially the building is secular. There are often church groups that come in on tours and will do an impromptu church service in one corner or another, in effect reconsecrating the building to their own satisfaction. And this is part of the history of the building and part of what I think a sensitive restorer, archaeologist, historian, student of the building needs to respect. And it's part of the beauty of the building as well.